The first thing to understand about Twitter, and maybe the most important thing, is that it doesn't need to be profitable. And it never needs to be profitable. It can lose money indefinitely and nothing would happen. So that sounds fucking crazy because it's like, well, how do you run a business with that kind of mentality? And the thing is that for Elon as an owner, two things. One you guys will agree with very strongly and one you'll not agree with. The first one we'll start off with is the one you won't agree with. Elon is trying to create an open town square. He will personally sacrifice any amount of money to successfully create an open discussion because he believes that is one of the most important paths forward for humanity. So that's the one you won't agree with. Here's the one you will agree with. The amount of fucking sheer money that Elon has made by successfully, some would say the verb I want to use is hijacking an election. And like, if you don't understand how X translates to profit for Elon, look at what Tesla stock did 5 days after the election, and look what it's still doing. On October 20th of 2024, Tesla stock was $130. Tesla stock is $338. Like, the amount of value that Elon has created for his other companies, like SpaceX, like, think about the amount of earned media that has been created for stuff like SpaceX. You guys remember the North Carolina hurricane and shit? And you remember how Starlink was like featured in the marketing? Not even to consider the amount of government contracts that he's likely secured in the next 4 years as a result of this earned media. So the first thing to understand about X is that X does not need to be profitable, ever, ever. It never needs to be profitable. You guys will probably agree with the second take, right? So if you understand that X never needs to be profitable, then you can just take away all previous, like we just leave that out of the conversation. We no longer have to have that conversation. Who cares about it making money or not? You don't need to run ads on the platform, right? It's unlike any other social media platform. YouTube has to prove its efficacy through ads, and it has. And that's how Google generates $30 billion a year off of ads on YouTube. Google is so successful with YouTube that Lena Khan is thinking about splitting up Google because it's so successful and making YouTube and that sort of thing separate companies because they are, a lot of people in the government right now argue that it's a monopoly. So every other platform has to justify its profitability, but X doesn't have to at all because it's feeding into these three companies and it's basically a marketing arm for those companies. And on a spiritual level, Elon is trying to create an open discussion and he doesn't care if it's profitable or not. Okay, that's number one. And now I'm just gonna tell you the literal stats, okay? So some people would consider me a semi-successful influencer. I think it's pretty fair considering I do this part-time and I have a full-time job. You know, I hit pretty good numbers on my videos and stuff like that. I tend to hit anywhere between like 15K to like 50K on my videos, and they do pretty okay. And likewise, like I get quite a bit of impressions here and quite a bit of comments and engagement. Here are my X stats for the past 3 months. I've posted 2 times. I had 2 million impressions, and you might say, oh, well, those aren't real views. Well, retweets are real views, replies are real, right? Shares are real, bookmarks are real. And now the way that X works is you get paid for those types of engagements. So I have a higher engagement rate on my X platform than I do on YouTube. And the amount of just sheer anecdotal opportunity that has come from my work on X has been exponential compared to YouTube. And YouTube is objectively one of the best ways to get in front of people and to grow a brand, full stop. And I'm not like a right-wing commentator, obviously. Like don't even have a political affiliation, right? I don't post anything political or anything like that. I just post stuff about like what's happening on Twitch and like what's going on in marketing and stuff. And I'm not even like, dude, this is like part-time of part-time. So like when you're in business, I want to like talk about a really important concept, right? Like there's a concept in business called leverage, right? And when you're in business, you need to think about the activities that give you the highest amount of leverage per activity. And so if I look at the amount of time that it takes to post a YouTube video and to create that kind of content via video and do the research versus to make an X post, it's outsized results in terms of leverage. It's an insane amount of value, plus like the inbound that I'm getting, the DMs I'm getting, the articles that I got written about me in Deserto, the attention I got from like very big influencers and stuff, it's crazy. And so X right now is a platform that has an enormous amount of reach to people that are paying attention and like it's real human beings. So I think for building a brand, I mean, obviously, I'm always going to say that like YouTube is like full stop the best place to build a brand or to establish an expertise. But X is coming up as a close second, and people are sleeping on it super hard. Also, since I'm just giving my super hot takes here, I am a rabid consumer of X, like it's an actual problem. And I can say with pretty solid confidence, you know, myself having like no real political affiliation, like I don't really care about the right or left of it or whatever, that X is doing a much better job in recent weeks and months of serving content that is both politically left and politically right. And while I think X is kind of being seen as a right-wing bastion, I think in time it will prove itself out to be the most moderate place for discussion that is available in short and medium and long form content. And I think to some of you who have like read articles or you're on a certain side of the political spectrum, I understand that sounds insane to you, but that is what I'm seeing. That is what I'm seeing is X is moving towards becoming a more moderate platform where that discussion is being had. And there are both extreme right-wing takes and much more of them than there was under Jack Dorsey's company, but also extreme left-wing takes and all of that in between, which is what Elon set out to do, right? His entire intention was to create a platform that was, quote, a town square. And when I initially made my first YouTube video about Twitter, I said, I think that's going to be a really good idea. And I think that's something that needs to exist in order for humanity to go forward. And I stand on business. I stand on that he's been able to successfully do that. And I'll say another thing about Elon and go an even step forward is that to say that, like, I don't know a single other human being in existence right now that's contributing more to the world than Elon Musk is. Whatever his problems are, and which there are many, and is neuroticism and narcissism or whatever, Elon Musk is paving the world forward that we should have had living in 2024. Self-driving cars, electric cars, spaceships that land themselves, a phone where you can get a satellite uplink connection anywhere in the world and you can have the internet. That's all possible through these three companies. And whatever you might think of the man, he is pushing humanity forward in a way that we dreamed of in the 1960s and 1970s. We dreamed of the 2000s being an era of flying cars and crazy technology and curing all diseases. From Grok to Tesla to SpaceX to Starlink, Elon is doing that more so than any other human being that I know. And there's a bunch of deca-billionaires and that run pet projects like Jeff Bezos and stuff that run like Blue Origin. What the hell is it doing? It's just his personal pet space project. It's not doing anything. But SpaceX is sending ships to the International Space Station and saving astronauts. Like, they're doing real discernible stuff, right? And X has just become sort of a spokesperson platform for that mission. And so I don't think that, I think X has nowhere to go but up. If nothing else, if you're a detractor from X, which is totally fine, if nothing else, but because the next 4 years minimum of the United States administration will completely support it, right? Those are just some of the reasons why I'm very bullish on it. But really, like, if you know anything about the kind of content that I create, and the kind of person I am, you'll know that, like, the currency that I think in, like the currency that I think in, it's not US dollars, it's not ideologies, it's literally attention. And there's so much attention on X. There's so many things going on X. All of the major announcements for things that happen are on X. Joe Biden's announcement for his resignation as president of the United States was posted on X during Elon's time before it was announced anywhere else. Before they had a White House press conference, they announced it on X. So, like, I just think there are so many examples of the platform still being a bastion for up-to-date, current news in short to medium form text, and there's nobody that compete with that. Blue Sky can never compete with it for the same reason that Rumble can't compete with it, because you can't create a platform that has the same exact selling proposition as Twitter did, where like this is Twitter. It's the exact same thing, but it's just Twitter for left people. That's not good enough. You can't run a business off that. The same reason you can't run a business off of Rumble, which is just Twitter for right people. Like, you're never going to be able to get a strong user base off either of those USPs, because that's not a good enough reason for people to switch over and change their, like, move their brand, move their following, move their presence. And that's like what happens with even the biggest detractors on X, like Mark Cuban, who was like, I'm going to Blue Sky, deleted all of his tweets. Guess what? He's back yesterday. Why? Because the attention is on X, and nobody can deny that. You might not like it, but that's where the attention is. Stuff like Rumble and Blue Sky, right versus left, politics, BS, doesn't matter. Who is offering the best product where the most attention is, that's where people will go. And X is undefeated in that. There is nobody doing short form to long form content in text that can do better. Meta's not doing it. YouTube's trying to do it, their YouTube community and stuff like that. And I think they're doing pretty well. Like, I've been pretty impressed by like YouTube community, and you can see they're kind of like updating a lot of stuff because they're getting their community stuff going. But overall, there just isn't anybody even close to doing what X is doing. So I'm hugely positive on it. And like, I think that a lot of people can't differentiate between the person that Elon is, and you might have your problems with them or whatever, and you can't differentiate between like, oh, it's like it's got this political affiliation, or it's like nobody cares about any of that ultimately. Like, is this a product and service that delivers on the promise that if you want to issue a statement or receive statements in short form or medium form text, is this the best platform that can communicate that message to you? And the answer is unequivocally yes. That's why you're seeing a super high increase in users, not fake users, not bots. That was a huge problem when X had the reply feature thing, where X had this really bad system when it first came out. It was well-intentioned, but the system was that you would make a tweet, and then people that replied under your tweet, right, would get engagement and make real money. So like, if you made a tweet, and I had a tweet here, okay, then all of these it started calling them reply guys. All these reply guys under here would make stupid tweets, and then they would actually get paid for that engagement, right? Now, what ended up happening was a ton of bots flooded the platform, because the whole mission of the platform became, oh, well, we just have to get the most impressions on this tweet here, and the main tweet doesn't even matter. So we're gonna try to make the most money possible by posting stupid fight videos and posting pictures of cats, literally everything we can do. And so for the past like 4 or 5 months, or even 6 months or whatever, 8 months since Elon bought the platform was literally infested by bots, right? This is a bot. He has a T on his head. And what Elon did and what the team did was they realized that this was a huge problem. And so what they did was they made it so that now your engagement on a Twitter post and your payment only comes from verified accounts. So if this account is verified and this account is not verified, then there is no monetization on this account, meaning that it only encourages paid users to engage with things, and so people only make money off of paid engagements. Now, what does that mean? It means there's no more bots, because bots can't pay for X Premium. It costs too much money. If you have something for free, have you guys ever played MMOs? What happens to free-to-play MMOs every single time? They get shit up by the community. They get shit up by bots. Go play Throne and Liberty. There's thousands of bots running around, farming stuff, getting tons of materials. So the same thing was happening on X. So when X was getting started, there was incentive for all these free accounts. But when you buy X Premium for like, I don't know, $15, $18 or whatever, and then Twitter goes through and does a bot ban wave, you can't afford to restart your bot army because you're paying in US dollars for that kind of, and it's not going to work. So they figured it out. They figured out that if you just do verified accounts, you remove the incentive. And the incentive was removed. And today on X, in the last like month or two, the engagement on real accounts is through the roof. The amount of bots that we were detecting in our agency is so much less than like we were overwhelmed by bots to the point where we couldn't do a single activation on X in the past 8 months. We couldn't do anything. But nowadays, like, it's becoming way easier to activate on it. So it's way better. And that doesn't mean that I would encourage anybody at an agency level to advertise on X. Because again, if you go back up to my initial statement here and you understand it, you understand that ads are not the future of X. Ads are not the future of X. They're not going to monetize off ads. They don't care about ads. They're going to try to make a little bit of money off of Twitter Premium users, and then they're going to operate at a massive loss in order to be a microphone or a loudspeaker, I should say, for these companies. And for Elon himself, who is so up his own ass that he would literally just keep this platform running just so that he could talk on it. I hope you understand. Literally, if there was no other reason to run X than the reasons I gave you, he would literally just keep the platform running to hear himself talk. Okay? So that alone will tell you that that he's going to keep the platform going. Yeah, so it's some interesting stuff. But I guess overall, that's my thinking on X right now. Like, I think the platform has nowhere to go but up. I think that the current administration is going to be supporting it. I think all three of these companies are going to be insane in the next 4 years, because the thing that was stopping Starlink was government contracts. And what I mean by that is that there are other heavy competitors in the satellite space, such as Viasat, that own like 60% of total government contracts. And when I say government contracts, I mean, like, sure, Starlink is being utilized by consumers and to some extent like non-high security clearance government properties to some degree. But like the special forces, the U.S. Army, like the big contracts are all using Viasat. And when the administration switches over and starts giving those contracts out to Starlink, Starlink is going to make a ton more money. And all that stuff is going to be publicized through X, just like it was for the hurricanes, just like it was in the US. For Tesla is actually going to take a short-term hit for a couple of reasons. One reason is because the administration incoming is going to remove the EV tax credit, which Elon actually supports. And that might sound weird to you until you realize that what Trump is proposing is to put a tax on all EVs that are not coming in from America. That means that Chinese EVs and Chinese manufacturers that make electric vehicles in Mexico will pay up to what he's saying is a 200% tariff on bringing those cars into the United States. So if it costs you twice as much to buy an electric vehicle from China or Mexico, who do you think is going to own the market on electric vehicles in the United States of America? It's going to be the company that is making electric vehicles without tariffs in the United States of America. So, okay, and then let's talk about SpaceX, right? So SpaceX is going to be a company that is going to get an enormous amount of government contracts. Doge is currently looking at defunding most of what NASA does. Who do you think is going to pick up our space stuff? So it's like, you just look at the tea leaves, man. And again, like, I'm not making I'm not making any political judgments. Nothing I've said is like like this policy is good or this policy is bad, whatever, left and right or whatever. Don't care, doesn't matter. I'm just telling you what's on the wall. I'm just literally telling you what's there, right? So, oh, wow, he's literally taking over NASA, actual genius. Yeah, think about it, right? Like, where are those contracts going to go? Is NASA a failure? I don't know. That's like an objective statement. I'm not making any statements on like, is NASA this or is that, or is this that, or is this what, you know? I'm just saying like what I see. So I am incredibly bullish on X going forward. I think X is going to compete with YouTube, like, full stop, as one of the best internet platforms, for good or ill. I'm not making that judgment. I'm just telling you what I see. Let me know what you think. You know, I'll go through some of the chat stuff for a minute. To your point, I'm on a flight right now and the Wi-Fi is Starlink. Yeah, and do you know who used to bid for those contracts? It was Viasat. It was competing satellite companies. There was all like Starlink at the like 5 or 6 years ago didn't even have the market for on-flight Wi-Fi, and now they're dominating. Tesla is the only electric vehicle company on or car making electric. Yeah. I mentioned that. I mentioned the tariff situation, things like that. Like this. Yeah, this is a really good video. In a world where another platform outgrows and performs X, what would that look like and how that would happen? Well, I still think YouTube is a superior platform for building brand or creating content overall. I think and like a lot of that is like, not only do I really vibe with the YouTube guys. I mean, out of all the people that I talk to across all platforms, Twitch or Twitter or whatever, I know the YouTube guys the most. I know their team the most. I really believe in what they're working on. And I also think that video as a medium is a better thing than text is. Does that make sense? Like, I think video is easily consumed. There's more you can do with it. And the problem with Twitter and X is that it is fundamentally a text platform. Like, you can have video on it, but it doesn't archive or aggregate in the same way. Oh, the other thing I got to tell you about X, I'll tell you in a second. I'm going to tell you another crazy thing about X, but I got to take a leak. So give me 1 second. Okay. Does anyone know the next step for X? Does anyone know where they're going? I want to see if anybody gets this right. So what is the next step for X? And I'll see if I can find a news article. So I already know what it is, but some people say video. Ha! There you go. Okay, they already got it. Dun 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 dun. There it is. X announces peer-to-peer payment service will launch in 2024. So what X is going to do, just like that is, you have to understand, this is all of Elon's blood. This is his backing with Venmo, PayPal, everything he's ever worked on, right? Like, Elon understands payment services and is going to make X into a way to transfer capital. He's going to try to take on Venmo. He's going to try to take on Cash App, and he has the user base absolutely to do it. So that's going to be a huge thing too. And he's going to take that on. So that's the future. That's a big thing as well. So like, I don't know, man. Again, like I'm super willing to listen to all the criticism that people have of Elon, and I agree with a lot of it. But I would not bet against him from a business standpoint. I think you are crazy if you bet against Elon. From a business standpoint, I think you're crazy. How well do you think he can convert his X users to his payment and make people move over from Cash App and Venmo? Very well. Very well. I think that is a good business idea. And I think that Twitter is better primed to do that service than maybe anybody is. Because all you're going to do is you're just going to add payment back and forth. You've already got the DM system. You've already got a culture of people talking in DMs. Like, someone like YouTube would have a hard time implementing this because YouTube is like a very ephemeral platform, in which I mean that YouTube is users are not really connected together. Like, have you ever DM'd someone on YouTube? I think technically you can do it, but you wouldn't think to do it. You've never like DM'd somebody on YouTube. I think, but like you can DM somebody on Twitter. It's the most normal thing in the world. What do you think of Elon's other ventures like Boring Company and Hyperloop? I don't know enough about them. I guess like I don't want to give you an answer. You know, one of the things I always try to do is like, if I'm informed on a subject, I want to talk about it. If I don't know, I want to tell you I don't know. And I have a lot of good information on X, and we're really working hard on X as an agency right now. So I'm pretty confident bringing this to you. But the Boring Company and the Hyperloop stuff, I don't know enough about to give you a good answer. Would all the porn on X make the financial institutions hesitant to deal with X? They're going to become their own payment processor. So they won't even deal with Stripe or those financial institutions. They don't care. They're just going to bypass the whole system. The answer is yes, and you're very smart to recognize that, but they don't care. They're just going to build their own system. That's what Elon's always done, right? Like look at all of his companies. Elon either takes an existing idea, like Tesla was originally like 2 founders. He goes, okay, I'm going to build EVs with this, and I don't care about anything else. Or SpaceX, which is like, okay, I'm going to ignore the entire like establishment space industry, and I'm just going to build my own shit. And that's what he's going to do. That's what PayPal was. I mean, PayPal X is essentially going to be, in his mind, an evolution of PayPal. Now, I don't actually know if it will end up that way, but that's how he sees it. He like PayPal, which is a really great product. I mean, it enables this stream to be successful in a lot of ways. Is a separate bank. PayPal basically is its own bank, and that's why, like, if you keep your money in PayPal. Have you ever heard of any of those stories of people of like PayPal freezing your account and like you can't do anything, like your money's just gone? Like you're like, that's because PayPal is effectively its own kind of banking system, and that's what X is going to be. You're going to be able to store money in it. You're going to be able to transfer payments. You're going to be able to like you're going to do it over their own payment system and things like that. It's not going to be like, it's not going to use Stripe as like a backend. Do you think there's some kind of ADL campaign against Elon that affects Visa and MasterCard that would make this really hard for him to do? I don't think so, because I think that if he just builds his own system from the ground up, it won't matter. Because like all you'll do exactly what you do on PayPal, right? Is like you'll literally just either ACH or transfer up money from an existing bank account. You'll have a balance that you hold on X, and then you'll make payments. And for people that want and ready for this too, want to know the big sucker, the big stepper. You know what's going to come after that? Full. Oh, I need a full cryptocurrency integration. So it's going to try to be the first really successful, which is what Cash App basically tried to do. But the problem with Cash App is like, Cash App has never had a existing user base to pull from. They've had to do all of their own organic marketing, and they've done it really well. But X has the existing user base and is going to pull all of that user base over to full cryptocurrency integration. And it's going to pull in USD. And who do you think is going to have the blessing of the administration unchallenged for the next 4 years to do this? No, Coinbase is still going to be awesome. I mean, Trump is actually considering the Coinbase CEO as his head of cryptocurrency. So Coinbase will be just fine. He's already been in the White House. How does Elon already have time for this? I don't know. Yeah. I guess some people would say that Elon is hypocritical in the way he enforces his rules, like with throttling free speech on X. Yeah, the people would, and some people say, what if he does the same with his payment system? Look, that's all fine. And I would even argue that people are well within their rights to say that stuff. That's fine. But the market doesn't care. Like, the users will use the product. Like, like all of these, like, look, all these midwits that are like pushing their glasses up, and they're the intellectuals in the corner, they think, like the literal mental midgets that are like, I'm going to Blue Sky. I don't like the content on X. Yes, it's very bad. I don't like it. Guess what's happening? All those bitches are going back to all the Mark Cubans. All those people are instantly going back to X. Why? Because the attention's there. The market doesn't care. The market doesn't care. It's where the attention is. Like those are perfectly reasonable criticisms, and they might even be true. But the market doesn't care. It's just what's the product, and does the product work and deliver the service it asks for?